We are the creators of reality. Those who have mastered perseverance, those who thrive despite attempts to thwart us, those who make magic at the root of the very trees they hung us from. We are the mountains and the rivers. We are the sun and the moon. We are sand and gems. We are the first and the final. We be big and small. We be light and dark. We be seasoned and youthful. We be sensual and sacred. Those gifted and divine. Those powerful and radical. Those vibrant and ancestral. We are the creators of reality. We are the Black Oasis. Welcome to the Black Oasis podcast. I am your host, Kaya Supreme, and this is the place where we lay it all down. We are back, season 4 in full effect, and if you can't tell, today is a special day. Someone who looks just like me. See, they got y'all confused. What they tell you is that you're born and you look like your parents. But see, the way I'm set up, I was born and then my daddy started to look like me. I made that face, okay? That's the daddy face. I made the daddy face. If it wasn't for me, that face wouldn't have a little wrinkle, that little wrinkle right. It wouldn't have such cheekbones from all the joy and the laughter and the happiness. See, I built these right here. That's hard work and sweat equity right there. But ladies,
and the bald head and gray hair.
Daddy, that's not me. That's God. Don't do that. That part ain't got nothing to do with me. But thank you, everybody, for joining. We have a special guest today. He hails from Selma, Alabama, by way of Cleveland, Ohio. He resides in Washington, D.C., this nation's capital. He is the coach of all coaches, the daddy of all daddies. He is divine, handsome, hilarious. Wow. You may know him as the Beast from the East. You may know him as Big Ern. You may know him as Rhino. You may know him as Coach Crosby. You may know him as Cross. You may know him as the great Reverend Penicillin.
Woo!
However you know him because he is consistently himself in all those spaces. Never switch up, never change, never been anything but himself. Authentic, honest, loving, earnest and true. And I am so blessed to have been birthed and made by this beautiful Black man. And we are celebrating all the Black fathers on this day. Ladies, gentlemen, non-gender conforming friends, welcome my daddy. Woo, 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 woo.
I could not be more proud.
Go ahead, Dad.
Not be more proud.
Give him a little shake, Dad.
You made me a daddy.
I did.
Yes, you did.
I did that.
And you and Blair made me a father, a dad, all of the above.
Yeah. So we're gonna just jump on in. We did I don't know if the last time you came on, it wasn't Father's Day. I think it was probably the second episode. I think I did Blair first and then you. But that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies. So we're going to bring it back in honor of all the Black men doing the good work of raising children and creating our society and building our nation. Why don't you just tell people a little bit about yourself, and then why don't you tell people about what your experience with fatherhood is like, how you see fatherhood, because you're not only just a dad to Blair and I, you're a community father. You help raise so many people. You were the person to step in and carry folks to school or let folks spend the night or, coaching. And it's just endless numbers of people have been impacted by you. So give us a little ideology of how you see fatherhood and what fatherhood means to you.
Okay. Where I see fatherhood is when you become a father, you have to put everything else aside and focus on that, what it takes to develop, the person that you gave, life to or help gave life to through God. So then once you look at that, you start mapping what's the, steps, and you have to know yourself first. before, because you're raising you. You're raising part of you and your spouse or the baby's mom or whoever. And now, if you adopted a kid, you're raising someone else's child, but you really have to learn as much about their biological father as you can. And then once you be honest with that, then you know how you react in certain things and what you need to be able to be successful. So if you know that about yourself, then you know how to help your child. They're not going to be 100% of you, but they're going to be 50% at least. And then sometimes it'll be 70% of you and 30% of the mom, or 70% of the mom and 30% of the father. But yet still, you got to know the whole package. That's why being a father for other people, you have to understand and see the goodness, you know, in everybody, and that's what you try to pull out, the goodness, because we all got good and bad. But if everybody just focus on the bad, then that's all you're going to see is the negative and the bad. So with me, I try to focus on the goodness, and I have to know the goodness in myself first and also know the bad. So if I know the goodness in me, then I know what I'm looking for in other people. Honesty, caring, and happiness, fun, looking for quality life right there in front of you, not waiting, till, you know. And as a black father, I think a lot of time we get consumed on being a survivor, that we forget that um, that we have to put that on the side and develop. That's the alarm clock that's going off in the background.
It's all good, Daddy. Listen, um, take those off because we don't know what's gonna happen. Um, so you were, let's just in full transparency, you raised me full time, 100% from the age of 13. Okay, and 13 is a real interesting age for a young black girl, and and you stepped right in. In our family dynamic, we would alternate weeks. 1 week with my mother, 1 week with my father. When they decided to dissolve the marriage, right? And then at the age of 13, I started to live with my dad 100% full time. And so, what was the transition like for you, going from co-parenting in a way to being a full-time dad 100% of the time? And you still worked, what I mean, you still coached, still had your extracurriculars, still. What was, because I only take care of a dog, Daddy. That's all I have. So I'm trying to think about when somebody says, I have a system or a structure with someone else, and then all of a sudden that structure just changes overnight. What was that like? What were your thoughts? What were your feelings in that situation?
Well, I have to go back to the week to week.
Okay.
In the back of my mind, I felt like that was really hurtful, because once you put something down and then you follow it for a week and then it changes, it goes back to another family member to put something down, lay a pattern. So even if you co-hosting, I think it'll be nice to be able to be on the same page. So if I got you in band or piano lessons, when you go back, you continue that. And a lot of times that stops. So, it's hard to juggle that. So once you um, came with me full time, then I was able to see and get to see, um, a good month or 2 months, what it takes to keep her grounded and support, but not push away. And I think realizing that earlier, um, I'm lucky because I have 5 sisters. Okay. So I learned a little bit from being the younger brother, just by ear hustling my sisters. And for the most part, and the truth is that men react. We react to things. And like for women and for girls, they want somebody to listen. So I had to learn to listen. You know, that's something you have to learn to do. And listen mean not jump in and say, "Oh, you shouldn't do this." Listen mean allow them to express themselves and use their own imagination or creation, and then make suggestions on how you would fix things if you could, or have you thought about this? Did you try this? You leave it back to their thinking, but yet still you want to let them know that there's other ways to look at it. Um, instead of just jumping in and trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And I had some moments where I felt like I felt down, uh, didn't handle it properly, because there's no training book that comes home with the child to how to be a father, you know, and especially for a black father, what we go through from the day we walk out our house. So we got so much that we have to deal with just to get you to practice or get to jobs or get to work. And most people don't have to deal with all that kind of stress.
Yeah.
So how do you compartmentalize? Okay, I know I got to deal with this, from road rage to being, checked and balanced from the police officer. Just a lot that goes on in just being a black father when you step outside of your house. you know, and yet still you got to be a father for your child. You got to make sure that they're thinking correctly, because society is going to constantly throw garbage at you, so you have to be a sifter. Like, how do you sift out the good and the bad, and know when you need to sift. So it was hard, but it was kind of, and that's when I think with me, my spirituality, I always trusted God, and I'm not a Bible toter, and I don't believe that you need to go to a church every day. But I think as a black man, we was given the most important thing is our relationship with God. But I feel like we also broke that in some areas, But I tried to, I'll let everything else go, but I'm gonna try to keep that connection with God, you know, so that when I think about things, it'll come to me, you know. And that came from my relationship with my mother. And I would say, for a man raising a daughter, it's a lot easier than a man raising a son,
Hmm.
you know. And I also think that if a man raise a strong daughter, knowing what she wants, knowing how she feel about herself, then it'll be hard for her, it'll be hard for someone to come in and mislead her, or lie to her, you know. And just like when you hear a lie, it's a lie, and when you hear the truth, it's the truth. But yet still we take it and we try to turn that lie into a truth. So because men are developed to lie, and because we constantly playing games with the mindset on the basketball game, football, or just talking. It's always a mindset. You're trying to break people down, so you can control. So by nature, that's what we do. So you have to make sure that as a lady or girl or a woman know that that's what's coming. So they have to set their defense up, you know, because we come with the sob story. My father disrespected me, and now I'm hurt, and I want you to be my mother figure and work and take care of me. It happens.
Yeah.
So for me, I have to keep my spirituality sharp, which means don't let anybody change it. And if you know your relationship with God, I don't care, because we have a lot of people out here with different religion or different thought pattern. They want you to think like them. you know. But if you know your connection with God, you don't feel like you have to think with nobody. You just trust that, and God give it to you in several ways. Your gut feelings or your thoughts, and you have to trust it. Trust your instinct. They call so many names they call it, but it's all a connection with God.
I'm sorry, I'm getting weepy. A cancer baby. We just cry, child, but it's nothing. It's nothing to cry about yet, but I feel it coming. Because I'm thinking about some of the moments and some of the things that I cherish, some of the quality time that we had growing up. You were the I would say probably my most nurturing parent between the two. You know, uh, I'm not gonna. Mommy is nurturing. She'd wake us up with songs and kiss us and doggy kisses and like that's her way. But as far as that hands-on experience, like step by step process. This is how you do something. Um, that was a lot. That was you. And so just thinking about fishing and thinking about all of our road trips back up and forth. Like these things were like ritualistic processes that I look back in hindsight just took for granted. But go get the cooler, put our snacks in it, drive up to Cleveland or drive up to Pittsburgh, or when we drove to New Orleans for my birthday. Those things are probably the most profound moments of nurturing in my life, because I just got an opportunity to observe and absorb, and it's something that I probably plan to pass down, you know, if I have children. Um, but you're just a fun guy. You're a
Well,
fun guy.
I think
This is
I think
adventures, adventures.
I think it's a good idea for fathers to take a road trip with their daughters. And the reason I say that is because you have each other, you know. And if you take a road trip with anybody, and you would learn that person, you know, because you got to make decision on where you stop and eat. You got to make decision on where you might stop and sleep. So you get an idea on how they make decisions. You know, if you say, "Hey, let's eat Burger King," and they go, "Well, I don't want Burger King," then you say, "Okay, what do you want to eat?" I don't know. So,
That's
so you know, you learn a lot about a person when you take a road trip, and I think that's we like to take vacation to Disney World, and sometimes all you need to do is drive for 18 hours, and you'll learn and you'll enjoy more with
yeah,
each other than you would going to Disney World or. And I'm not saying Disney World is not a great place to take your kids, but I think a lot of times you need to spend time with them so you can know your kids. You know, that's the most important. And I remember the time when I was growing up, if someone said that, Miss Crosby, your son stole or your son did, you know, she might beat the hell out of us if we was in there presented. But she would say, I know he didn't steal nothing. Or I know he didn't say that. And she was accurate, you know, so because she knew her kids. She knew all 10 of us. And at that time, I didn't think that she did that. How do you know 10 kids? And she did, you know. And I'll never forget the time we walked in to tell her about my brother was in an accident in the past, you know. And we walked in, she sat up in the bed and she said, which one is dead?
ooh,
You know, and so talking about somebody that had respect for their mom. I'm a mama boy. I'm a baby boy. I'm certified. I got a PhD in it. And when it come down to a mother, I don't a stranger. I'll punch him in the face if he disrespect his mother. I wouldn't care, you know, because you lived there for the first 9 months of your life, and how dare you come out now and disrespect that? So I'm just a different guy when it come down to relationship with women and moms, you know. And I think early on I realized that they're the source. No matter how much we think about it, you know, and we'll even with like football players when they put the cameras on them, first thing they say, "Hey, mom," you know, they don't say her dad, you know.
I
And I think that's the fight in our society right now. That's why everybody constantly attacking the woman, you know, or women. If they do, they defeat the women, then they know they got the men. So,
mm,
you know, and that because we don't look at the strength that a woman has. You know, you can start on the list. Let's start
yeah,
with thresh of pain. You know, you know, they can do a lot more than what we can do. You know, so what? We can lift 400 pounds. But if they work out, they can lift 400 pounds. So I looked at that and I was trying to raise my daughters, you, Blair, and Asada, and anybody else that was in Davita. I was trying to raise all of my, and Victoria, I was raising my girls that, hey, I can do whatever I, you know, want to do. You know, it's a mindset, you know, no shame in my game, you know. So that's how I see myself fathering different people, you know, just looking at the goodness.
and you know, we keep, like I said, it's the place where we lay it all down, right? So you don't, I love you, and you can talk freely.
I
You
will.
can-
I
so
will.
I'm gonna ask you now about raising daughters through, you know, uh, dating years and what you saw, and because I'll say this just on the inverse. When I witnessed how you treat women that you're in relationship with, you're always very loving. I've never seen you be disrespectful toward a woman. I've seen your consistency, uh, faithfulness, reliability, dependability, almost, you know, to the point where we're jealous. Not almost, we are. We were jealous. 100% jealous. Because that's my daddy. And what do you and what we got to share, and who is this, and what's going on. But luckily, it wasn't like a rotation of women. And shout out to Rose, who I love and adore, and I think has saved your life and keeps you alive on a daily basis in ways we have no idea of. But uh, but it's such a strong love. We love you so much because you know of the quality of life you provided for us. But now, as a father, and you're watching your girl start to like boys and start to grow up and sneak boys in the house or skip school or um, you know uh, sneaking on the phone, and then next thing you know, people got cars and they driving, and it's like, who's that? It's all these things. And I can say this: there's so much stuff I got caught for, and I don't know how I got caught for it to this day. How did he come home right now at this time? Or who told him? And so all of that. Share your experience. For the dads who have daughters who are maturing and they're in that adolescent, that young adult phase. What did you see? What did you want for us? What do you want for us? And then how did that relate to the way that when you flash back and think about your days, beast from the east?
Well,
Mhm.
like I say, you got to know yourself, right? So let's take if you tell me a lie, right? Your voice changes, your face expression change. And as I used to say, okay, take it from the top. And when I said take it from the top, then that you got to come back with the truth. So I wasn't saying taking it from the top just because you was talking, it's because I knew you was lying to me. So if I'm walking out the house and I said, okay, Blake, take care of yourself and I'll see you later. And the way you said, okay, daddy. So that means you already got a plan, you know? So I was like, all right, so how long it take for her to get her plan together? An hour, 2 hours? So I'll leave and then I'll come back in an hour or 2 hours and you're busted, you know? So, and you gotta know that, you know, uh, everything. Like just like parents know when you're sick, based on how you sound or how you cough or. So everything you have to realize that know it, you know, and trust it. And usually you don't go wrong. So that's how I knew a lot of things. But I know when you lied to me. I know when Blair lied to me, and you always thought you was clever, you know.
I to this to this day I think I'm clever.
But I always and all that because my mom could tell when I was lying to her. So I
Mm.
learned from her, you know. And so not only I think I have ability to read people well, that's a gift from God. I can walk in a room, I can tell you who, what, just by looking at them, just by listening at the way they talk. Um, I know when people need somebody to say something good, like, oh, did you have breakfast today? And most time they'll get stung because, oh, no, I didn't. Well, maybe that's the reason why you're getting so mean to me at this cash register or the DMV. So, yeah, and that was a quality that you have to develop, and just pay attention to everybody you talk to. So let's say if you have a conversation with somebody and you say, hey, who are you? And when they start talking about their job, oh, I am the president of this bank. I am the secretary. No. I want to know who you are, you know. And some people don't even know who they are because they live in that power structure. If you take away that job, or take away being the governor, or being the mayor, or being the doctor, they're nobody in their mind, you know. But I always try to do the reverse. The job mean nothing, but you as a person mean a lot, you know. I remember my father used to say, always give a good handshake, you know. You agree when you shake somebody's hand. So now we changed to dapping it up. I dap you up. Does that mean I agree with you? Now, how strong is the agreement? If I say I'm with you till death, to the end. And then that's where trust comes in at. So trust is not just for me to trust you. You have to trust yourself for me to trust you. So if you borrow $500, I gotta trust that you're gonna pay me back, but you gotta trust yourself that you're gonna pay me back. So you get that $500, you might not trust yourself to do it, so you won't. And it's not like you're a bad person for not paying me back. It's just that you have flaws where you don't trust yourself, and you're not committed to what you say you want to do. So in looking at guys that dating my daughters, I have to make sure that they're ready for what I help create, and make sure that my daughters don't slide that needle down to get with somebody just because they looking for a man or a boy or whatever. You know, keep your standards high because you're the queen. You know, your body is the temple, and that person got to work to get that. You know, it's just not going to give it to them by choice or just because, you know, you falling short. Bring your game up so we can be stronger together. So that's what I look for. You remember I used to do this when I don't want to see guys no more. I go like this. That was my favorite. I'll never forget your brother's guy. He came. It was middle of July, and it was 100 degrees, and he had a hoodie on. And he was sitting on the couch when I came through the door, and he said to me, "Hey, OG." I quickly went. I gave him a double one. You got to go. So you
Oh,
know,
I don't know who
that was real stuff, you know. And when you're trying to put something together, you don't want nobody to come in and not be at their game to move it forward. So I look at life like a relay. You know, my dad gave me the baton of being a father, and my mom gave me a baton of being a mother. So I'm not going to drop the baton. I'm going to give it off to my kids. And I don't want to give you a baton that's ragged, broken. You know, I want to make it nice so when you grab it, you can take and you can move your family forward. So when you pass the baton off to yours, that's how we improve our generation, whether it's wealth, education, knowledge. You know, um, another thing that I'll try not to do to my daughter is lie to them. You know, and you remember I never said that Santa Claus bring y'all nothing. No big belly white or black man coming down the chimney bring you toys that I worked and went and bought. So didn't lie to you. I didn't lie to you all. Even Easter egg hunt, Bonnie ain't got nothing to do with Easter. You know, that just add-ons. You know, Thanksgiving, it wasn't the fact of the Pilgrim did anything, because if you do your research, you'll find out that the Native American fed them because they came off the water weak, and when they got their strength, they went back and they saw the fur, you know, the history, and they brought these blankets and made sure they wiped them out with disease.
that's
That's
disease.
yeah, and that happens even with COVID and everything. So history if you don't know history, it's going to constantly repeat itself.
Yeah.
You know, so in being a father, you got to make sure that your kids are solid and not just giving them to keep them in social groups.
Now,
Unfortunately, we
oh, go
don't
ahead.
got to the point where everybody's about like. You know, I put something on Facebook or Instagram and 1,000 people like it. It was stupid. Let's face it. And we need to we need to be honest with each other.
Um, so tell me about a time where you were absolutely shocked by your children. Shocked. good, bad, doesn't matter, but just surprised because you talk about a lot about knowing, and but what I know is although children are born through you, they're still their own people, right?
Yes.
Yes, a whole lot of mixture, and even as I look at my own face, I can see my sister's face. I can hear my mother's voice. I see definitely see your face, or well, I see my face when I see your face. So it's like, but always a shock and surprise. So tell me about a time that you remember being absolutely shocked by your children.
Well, I tried who you want me to start with, you or Blair?
Never.
Okay, Blair might get upset if I say this. I need your permission.
Don't make Blair upset. Don't.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that then. Just the the time that really shocked me, and I thought that I had set you all up to be a go getter. Okay, it's when I went on the Oprah Winfrey show, and you all didn't know what I went through to be on the show. So it looked like it was all glamorous, but it was a lot of isms, when I was out there. From the time I stepped out the limo to how I was received in the studio, it was a lot of racism. In other words, when you see a black man, they automatically put you in a corner or a situation. So I remember going to the to get our clothes to be on the show. Nobody wanted to wait on me, when I walked in there. But then when I said Oprah name, oh my God, they was pushing me all down the couch and trying to make sure I was okay. And I said some rude things to them that I can't say on this air now. But I had to, I had to shock them as much as they shocked me, So anyway, get back to the studio and we were talking. And the producer she had at the time, I think he must have weighed clearly a good 500 pounds. But he had nerve to say something about my weight, you know. And I thought that was hilarious. But it's also showed me that people that is obese, and white, that they, would put somebody else that at that time I was kind of lean and mean, but because I was black, you find something to try to punch at. So the reason I'm saying that is because when I talked to him later, I didn't go after him like he came at me because I was looking for the goodness. So then he told me about a scholarship that Oprah was putting together to give $50,000 to go towards college fund, right?
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on it, it probably wouldn't have been fair, but he was going to give me an up hand by looking out for you for your application. So we came back, we filled the application out, and I don't know if you remember, but you all walked to the mailbox. And I don't know what you did with them, but you didn't mail it. So so I'm thinking I'm watching you all walk to the mailbox. So at that point, y'all, you took advantage of me. I don't know how, and maybe you could tell me how you did it, but I thought you put it in the mailbox. But anyway, y'all did not mail the application. He never received it. And he kept calling me. Now this is a guy I met, and it could have went bad, but our relationship went good, and he tried to help. And now my daughter's going to get some Oprah Winfrey money for college. So that's the only thing I'm thinking. And he kept calling me, "Hey man, I'm about to close this thing," and I would go to you all, and I said, "Did y'all mail it?" And you said, "Yes, we did." And that shocked me because I kept thinking like, okay, he's gonna call me in a minute and say he received it, and he never did. And I never hear from him since. And so finally, I called him back after it was over. He said, "To be honest with you, I'd never received them." So that's the first time you all shocked me because I just knew that you all were going to follow my lead, because it was positive. It wasn't negative. So that was the first time.
Was a delay, Daddy. We're back.
Okay, I didn't know what part you missed. I saw the delay coming, so I paused.
No, it shocked you because you thought we were about to get some Oprah Winfrey money, but then
Yeah, that was the first time that you shocked me, and I couldn't believe it, because I said, "Wow, what did I do wrong?" I didn't realize, what all went into this. It was very valuable. How So I felt like I dropped the ball. How did I not was able to express that? So I was shocked that y'all didn't mail it.
But you left it up to me and Blair. Weren't we like 5 and 2?
No, 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 no. You wasn't 5 and 2. You was old enough to be independent. You're right. Looking back on it, I should have mailed it.
I'm about to
But
say,
like I
hold on.
said, you all was in training. So you have to train. Even when we went into the bank, I took you over and introduced you to the bank president, and not just to get to know the teller, because this person here can either make you or break you. You got to go in. So you was in training. So I thought you all was ready, to at least walk to the mailbox, so you could say, "I mailed it." So yeah, like I said, I dropped the ball a couple times. That was one time I dropped the ball because I should have mailed it. But I wanted to teach y'all
You
to
know,
be part of it, ownership.
well, I'll say this. In hindsight, this is what I tell myself when I accept the fact that there's certain things I'm just not good at. And my gifts are in the realm of big picture visionary ideas. Beyonce ain't out here mailing stuff. And I think I could be up there, work ethic wise. I'll work as hard as Beyonce works. No shame in my game. So but we're waiting for the person who I hire to handle some of those things. But I'm gonna do the best I can with what I got until then. And so I just want you to know, I guess between the two of you, you didn't know you created children who were a little more creative on the creative side of things and not as structured, huh? Okay, so we got it together though. My bills is paid. I'm grown. We
Yeah,
turned out all right.
I don't have no regrets. But I'm just saying, you asked who shocked me, and I think that's what I was shocked. But in building up your success, you have to be willing to do the little things, you
Absolutely.
know, and then you get to the big things. Because if somebody, if you don't know how the little things are done, then you don't recognize if they're doing them correctly.
True.
It's just like building a house. You got a foundation. You got to know how strong that foundation is before you start putting the roof on. So I wouldn't just, like I said, when you're in training, you supposed to, I think every family members, if I can get one thing out, train, not teach, train your kids. Train them in the way they handle themselves in public. Train them the way they should sit at the table and eat. Train them to, I remember I took you and Blair to black tie dinner. And everybody was asking me, because y'all had your little gowns on, and you was sitting at the table quiet, and it was like, oh, you couldn't get a babysitter? No. I wanted my kids to experience this. So when they go out, they know how to handle themselves. They know how to carry themselves. And I love the compliment when my kids are sitting at the table using the right fork, spoon, eating, and being quiet and not jumping and running. I get, you hear me saying, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. That, nah, we're going to eat. We ain't got time to be yelling at you. So let's get that eat on. And so anyway, I used to love to get that compliment. Oh, your kids are so nice. They're so well, respected and all this. Yeah, because I train them. But, most people don't train their kids. And once they get them out in public, they yell it. You know, I had stories for everything for you all. Tootsie and how to buy food in Safeway. Uh, so so when you
Yeah.
go shopping, you read the ingredients. But I see people in Safeway, the kids touch something, they smack it, pop. And this is a teachable moment. Teach them how to look at the ingredients, what sugar is, what sodium is. Although it didn't matter, because I'm gonna eat what I want to eat. But um, it is what it is. Train them.
Daddy, daddy. Okay. All right. Now give Blair's shocking story.
One of them being,
A positive shock, Dad.
it's a positive shock. Is that positive shock is that she more like me than I thought.
How so?
You know, in seeing things, from the beginning to the end. Bless you, bless you. seeing things from the beginning to the end, and I'm thinking that because she has more of a look like her mom. So, I'm into that genetics. I'm like, okay, she got more ways like her mother, so I'm out. you know, there's no Ernest in there. And that was shocking to find out there's a lot of Ernest in Blair.
A lot. It's a lot. A lot.
And so that was a big positive shock, and I was kind of excited because I always, call you my little homie, because you look like me and you was creative, you're an entrepreneur, you're not afraid of anything, and that's the most important about you. You're not afraid. I remember putting you on a bike and pushing you down the hill so you can learn to ride. Crazy thing, it worked, but it was scary. So and I did that because I knew, you had the ability that you're gonna figure it out, even if it's on a high speed bike going down the hill, you know, because you look back, you was like, Daddy, I said, start pelling, and then you start pumping and took off. Blair shot me because she has that same quality, that same thing. But I didn't believe she had it until now, as an adult. And that was one of the shocking things. And so our relationship is different from yours, and I'm keep saying, wow, but it's not that different. And I could have had more of an impact with free willy type spirit with Blair. And I think she more like being in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. No, I'll say this. I think when Blair moved to Atlanta, that's when I really, it's so crazy how you can create a story about somebody and it's just the story that you created is not always the truth, that's the beautiful thing about God. As soon as God gives us one flower, God's going to let that flower mutate and then it becomes a totally different thing. And now it's all kinds of flowers outside because that's just how process works. But when she came to Atlanta and I saw how funny she
Oh
was.
my God.
First of all, she was funny before she got to Atlanta, but she was funny before she got to Atlanta. But always funny. But really, when I say it, I mean more in a social way, like not just
Oh yeah,
her and
she's
I,
funny. She's funny.
but just like how she could work a room. She has that capacity. For a time there, I was like, well, damn, who's the extroverted one? Is it me or is it her? It was like, and so yeah, that was one of my most shocking moments with my sister that I loved. Like, yeah, okay, Blair, like I see you, like, yeah, I was proud of her for that. But so now, you're a full time dad, moving into a different area. We talked about, when we're young and or another thing when you take us people watching, people watching,
Oh,
people watching is. I still like to people watch. I can't help it. I'll be in public. I just, my mind goes to like creating stories, and I start asking myself questions. I think I was out yesterday, and I saw a girl walk in, and she had on like the smallest clothes created. They had to be children's clothes, but she looked good though. It wasn't any judgment. She looked good. She had the body for it. I was like, go ahead, sis. But I was just curious, like where she wake up at this morning. So then I started creating the story of where she woke up. Then I saw like the waiters came over and they were all on her, making sure. I was like, oh, they must think she's really hungry. Because the way they was like, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? So I was just like creating the story in my head. But so thank you for that because I'm never bored. I'm never, ever, ever bored.
oh yeah, oh
With
yeah.
things.
And matter of fact, my best friend, David Penn, of course, everybody knows that, and Chester. So we had this psychology class we was going to, and it was bad. It was a bad class. The guy was just horrible. So we talked him into, hey, it'd be a good idea for us to go to the mall. And that's one we got out of the class because, we'll go downtown to the mall and we sit and we people watch. Then we come back and we write about, the person that we saw. And it was amazing to see when we first started doing it, it was crazy. People was all over the place. But as the class went on, we'll come back and we had similar assessment. You know, they slide their feet, which means, they probably wasn't a real aggressive type person. Thinkers, how they look in the windows, looking in the windows and then looking up and down at the same piece of fabric or whatever they're looking at. mean like that. They may be wishing they can have it, you know. Then people that walk by and stop and just look and glance, then they see the curiosity in that piece, you know. So, and there's no way we can say we was 100% accurate or true, but it was very similar to people that saw the same thing without talking to each other about it, you know.
Yeah.
So people watching is good, and I think that's why I say you have to learn to read people well. If somebody
Yeah.
angry and you know they're angry, why are you gonna try to have a conversation at that moment? You know, and that's a bank teller, gas station attendant, whoever. You know, you don't need to have that smoke. So
Yeah, no, you definitely always said, I want you to be able to meet somebody and within 5 minutes know who they are. You know, like that was a skill. It was a necessary skill too, because I was a very, I still am a very open, welcoming person. And I've had to learn the hard way that, discernment and discretion are key, because I'll just give you the benefit of the doubt. Just will. And then you'll be like, Blake, no, that's this don't add up. This ain't right. Uh, so now, and what we've been going through in our dynamic is, and what I've learned, and I think this is a good way to say it, is this kind of baton passing, right? Like, because now you're a father to adult children. Like your kids are still your kids, but we're full blown adults. We pay our own rent. We get our own jobs. We've gone through unemployment. We've started businesses. Like we are functioning, right? And I understand that parenting looks different now. It doesn't stop. It just looks different, and it's not as, because I mean, just my short time nannying, when I had the babies at 3 months and 6 months, what they kind of care they required was totally different than the kind of care they required by the time they got to 18 months old. We had to hold them all the time at 3 months, and now at 18 you had to let them go. So it's like, I'm sure that continues. So now having adult children, what are some lessons or things that you've learned? What are some things you've had to adjust um, to maintain the relationship?
you know, I always talk about the arch. I don't know if you remember when I say it starts 0 to 100. So that's the reason why you're 5 years old, 10, 12, all the way up. So you realize you come out of college at 18. If I had to do it over, I would have made you all buy a house when you came out of college, because you struggle to pay the rent, you can struggle to pay the mortgage. So from 18 to 20, you would have had, 18 to 30, you would have had almost 10 years of equity in a home. So, and those are the things that I look at now as an adult, like, wow, you shouldn't have been paying apartment. You shouldn't have been paying rent. You should have been paying the mortgage. Even if, and most parents should be able to co-sign for you to help that. You do that, and be willing to do it. So in my arch, so now you're 30, so midway is 50. So you got 20 years to do ownership, have your life set, thinking about what it's going to look like after on the other side of that arch. So, so now you get to 50, you're on your way down. So it's not like life is over, but from 50 to 60, things are going to change. Whether you're in your body. So let's say on the left side of the arch, you didn't work out, you didn't eat properly. Okay. It's going to show on the right side. And let's go back on the arch. And let's say if you didn't finish, high school, you didn't prepare yourself, didn't go to college or trade school or artist or start a business. When you get to that 60, it's going to show up. You may become homeless. You may not have life insurance or being able to have medical care because it's things that you didn't do on that side. So as a young adult, you're getting to that halfway point. So you realize, so the urgency is like, oh man, that's a lot you got to do that you ain't thinking about. Even if you had kids, you're going to have them ready to go and be on their own before you hit 50. And then before you hit 60. So now from 60 to 70, you're on borrowed time. The clock is ticking in another direction. And that's when all your health issues shows up. lack of not preparing a quality job so you have money. Your 401k is not as healthy. Your social security is not as good. So these are, but everything when you turn 70 is going to cost you more. You know, everything gonna cost you more. They say you get the senior citizen discount, but that's not true. Healthcare is gonna cost you more. Life insurance policy is gonna cost you more. Just being able to live, you might have to pay for some nurses to come in the home. So as that person now looking at the kids, you want your kids to be prepared for that because it's coming too for them. So that's why you stress and train like, okay, hey, you need to be doing this now because this is what's going to happen. And no matter what you say, the Golden Arch is just not McDonald's. You know, the Golden Arch is a real life. And it's going to happen once you get 60, 70, 80, and God, please help me make it 120. You know, everything will look different, you know, and you're going to need money. Even if you got to renovate your house so they can have a lifter in it, you got to have an elevator, you got to have a wheelchair ramp, you know, all that can cost money and it's not getting cheaper, you know. So, and then you got society pushing for the half and the half not. They don't want you to have nothing because I think genetically, just like we listen to our song and make us feel good, there are people out there feel good when they see you down and out. They won't express it. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep trying to do things to make you or put you in that situation. You know, those are real things that are happening right here in front of you. But we'll take our own love and passion for the community and say, oh, that won't happen. Oh, they wouldn't do that. Yes, they would, because that's human nature, you know. And knowing that we came into a society that was built by criminals, you know, and but yet still we get blamed for all the criminal activities. What I love to have is the history of the European, the ones they sent over here from jail. Like, why was they in jail? Was it serial killers, rapists, murders, liars, thieves? And I think that would help shape the community, you know. But we don't know that. We don't have that information. We got our information, you know, as far as we can go back to. And it seems like if we go back across the water, we'll find out that we even have more kings and queens and, you know, uh, background in our history. So it's important. So that's the reason why it's shaping your kids now as adults is to make sure that they're aware of all the things that is going to take place in the future.
Well, thank you. I'm stressed. No, just kidding. Um, Daddy, you are a gem of a person. A gem of a person. I love you. I didn't know how much I missed you until I got on this and saw your face. Ooh. So
Same here, same here, same here. And
because I
unfortunately, I I would love to be in the same place with you too, you know.
yeah.
And I'll never forget when I told you I was thinking about moving to Atlanta. I don't know that y'all realized your response, but it was like, first you was all happy. Then when it looked like it was about to be serious, you like, no. And I'm like, wow, they actually think I'm coming to Atlanta. Do you know how big of Georgia and Atlanta is? I could be there and you'd never see me. But in y'all mind, like, no, we carved this out for us. And now you trying to come in, you know.
No, I'll say this. Yeah, immaturity. Immaturity. Because the truth of the matter is, now that I think about it, we're probably bothering you,
No, you
probably
wouldn't. I mean, that's what fathers.
always coming over, because
Hey,
while we,
that's what fathers are for. Bother them, you know. And I think that word right there hurt the African American community more than anything. I don't
hmm,
want to bother you, but yet
hmm,
still, when things get to the point where it's out of control, then you want to bother me. I'd rather
right,
help you know why it only costs $30 to fix than it costs $300 to fix. You know,
right.
so I think sometimes we lose our purpose. You know, and like I say, in our community, man, oh, hungry. I could ask for a can of soup, but I didn't want to bother you. I lost my house, and it's because I needed $20 more to finish the mortgage, And now because I was late, they added a late penalty. So now I need $100. And because I couldn't get the $100, and they added some more late penalty, now I need $200. So why did you come to me when you needed the $20? you know, so so that's how it goes. And I think in pecking orders, and I was talking to my nephew about that. How do we reconstruct our community? And one way is to start with our family. And I know it's going to be hard, but we're going to have to put the work in. And if everybody take care of their family, then the community is going to be better. You know, but we got to go back and undo some wrong. We got to not be selfish, not be envy, not be jealous, not just know that you're here to enjoy life and pass the baton. That's it.
Do you believe we're going to be 35?
Ah,
First,
so you hopefully you know where you fall on that arch.
I'm trying to, ugh,
Yeah,
ugh.
just
I'm
like
trying
you said, 35, it'll be 50 soon.
Listen, the knees is already like, girl. The knees in that back is like, girl. We don't care how old you are. We know how old we are. Stop playing.
But I give you all praise for working out, and I know it's hard. And just like now, that's something I used to love to do, and now I hate working out because I did it for so long. And
Yeah.
if I had that magic pill what I can take and get rid of all this weight, I probably would do it. But I know what it takes to get it off because now I got to do 10 miles, 5 miles. And everybody say, oh, just walk. Nah, it's a little bit more than that. You got to curb your eating habit.
You do.
And we don't shop at Whole Food. I wish we could. And Whole Food prices should be at Safeway or Giant or somewhere else that we can afford to go get. But what I'm doing this year, you know, instead of having that backyard with all that green grass, pull up a couple plots, 10 by 10, and plant you a garden. I got a hell of a garden coming.
No.
And the only thing missing is you.
Right, y'all. Thank you, everybody who took in to Black Oasis. We're gonna segue out. Daddy, I'm gonna call you. Uh, this has been lovely. I don't want to get weepy, so I'm gonna because I already did that. So I'm gonna
Oh,
just
I enjoyed myself.
we got to do. You know what I was thinking? We should do an episode where we have like some male representatives, like a bunch of us on at the same time, and
Oh,
then
that'd be nice.
sisters,
That'd be
um,
nice.
women. That would be nice. Hopefully, I'm gonna put
And
that up. It's
and before I
alert.
go, I would say I would like to see each family go back and pull that whatever keeping them apart back together. You know,
Yeah.
and don't use material things to feel like you're better than someone else. And I remember that being from Selma, we had a cousin that lives inside town, but they used to call us country.
Mm.
But harvest time, when it's time to come get the greens and the peas and black eyed peas and okra and butter beans, oh, we was the good cousin then, you know. And it drove a wedge through us. And I'm gonna speak for myself. So it also affected the family reunion. When they have a family reunion, I didn't want to go because of the way they treated us as kids. So in our community, there's a lot that was done, and you see it now. When people get material things, they think they're better than the person they sit next to. And I understand it because that's how some black people feel like they're important about what they wear and how they dress and what they drive, but they don't realize how much inside of them that is powerful. You know, because there's no creature on earth can do what a black man and a black woman can do,
Mm.
and I'll take that to my grave. And if I need to break it down, I would do it. But I'm hoping that they would hear what I'm saying and think about it. There's nothing on this earth can do what we do. And I think we should understand that for each other and support our queens and kings. And I don't mean in a negative way, but just, hey, I'm not going to do anything to hurt you, brother, sister, because I know you are better than the eagle they're trying to save. You're better than the preservers animals that they're trying to save. They put money after that. But with us, We're the top. We're the top. And that's the reason why so many people hate us. You know, God
Yeah.
gave us, He didn't give us money, but He gave us all the tools to survive. Thinkers, creative, you know. So, and if you ever want me to break that down on things that we can do on this earth that nobody else can, holler at the boy.
Well, I'm gonna have to have you back now because you didn't said a few things, and now my mind is rolling. So you'll be back.
All right, my love.
You'll be back. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Thank you to all the fathers. Thank you to all the fathers who just thank you to all the fathers. Period. Thank you. You're not overlooked. We love you. You matter. You're important. You're valuable. Extremely valuable. And I know that without my dad, I wouldn't have the work ethic that I have. I wouldn't have the personality that I have. I wouldn't have the spiritual relationship with God that I have. I wouldn't have the fearlessness or the freedom. I would not be me. This man has took a seed and nurtured it, and I'm pretty damn dope. So I think you did a good job. I think
Thank
you
you.
did a good
Thank you. Thank you.
job. All
Love
right,
you.
y'all. I love you too, Daddy.
All right.
Until next time, stay black and lucky you. You don't